Welcome to the free training on how to win more clients by fine tuning your offer and brand. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, before we start, let me just set some ground rules and give you some expectations or what you can expect from this free training. And I always want my audience to have the best experience when it comes to attending my training, whether it's free, whether it's paid. I want everyone to have the best experience ever. And of course, I want you to get the best value from whatever it is that I've put together for you. And the best way that that can be possible is for you to give me your full attention. Well, I know that there are other things that you may be doing or scheduled to do, but try your very best to just stay with me up to the end of this training. So if you have your cell phones with you, which I sure you do, I just request that you put it on silent mode or turn it off if you can. But if you can't, just put it on silent mode and put it away from you for a bit. And if you can't really do that because you're expecting something important, then I understand. And if there is an emergency, I also understand. Just be sure to come back if you can. And you can always watch this again on replay. But it's better if you can catch everything right now and, start and finish this. That's the best way you can get the most value from this free training. And if you're watching from your desktop and you have other browsers that are open, please just close them so you don't get distracted. And I just really, really want your full attention. Not because I'm hungry for your attention. I used to be that way, not anymore, thank God. But I just want you to get the most again out of this free training because I did this for you, because I know that what you're going through right now is what I've been through. And if I'm not careful, if I don't follow what I'm going to teach you today, then things are going to be challenging for my business, for my coaching program as well. So everything I've learned, I'm going to share with you today in relation to fine tuning your offer and your brand so you can generate more clients for your business. Sounds good? All right. So what can you expect for today? Well, let me start by, sharing a few things first and sharing some stories that you will be able to relate better with. And that will just give more context to a lot of the things that I'm going to explain later on as we move forward. And all of us coaches and coachpreneurs or coach entrepreneurs, I love calling it coachpreneur, it's just shorter and easier. So a lot of us coachpreneurs, not most of us, I'm sorry, all of us, our goal is to generate more clients. Without clients, there are no sales. Without sales, we don't have a business. And it's always about lead generation converting to clients. So it's always about lead generation and client generation for a business. And, you know, I appreciate the work that coaches do because I'm a coach myself. Whatever you're coaching in, whatever field you're in, whether it's finance, relationships, health and fitness, or transformational coaching, whatever it is, you are contributing greatly to society, to the world, because you are helping other people. Everything we do, even if it's something technical, is always transformational. It's always helping other people. And I don't want you to lose your passion or the very essence of why you're even in this field and in this business just because you're not generating clients for your business. Because it's really hard when there's no income coming in, it's hard to continue doing what we love to do or what we're called to do. And this is why I'm very, very excited to share with you what I've learned in this journey when it comes to getting and generating more sales, getting more clients by tuning in our brand and our offer, or our offer and our brand, vice versa, whatever order you want to look at it. So let me share something with you, like a light bulb moment for me. So normally what we do is we fine tune and dial in our strategies and our systems. In fact, I created an entire coaching program called Build and Convert Your Audience, where I really teach about the very simple online marketing systems and strategies. And I still use it up to this very day. That has been really, it has been a game changer for my business. And it's also helping those who are going through that program. And so I implemented that. And so my coaching program was running. And then I decided to take a pause because I was just feeling a little stale. Like I just didn't know whether I would be creating a new program or I'll be modifying the programs that I already had or I'm going to be shifting the way I do things. And so I was pretty much on pause at that time when I had a conversation with a fellow coach. And she said, Lisa, what are you offering? I barely see you promoting, your program or your programs. And that kind of really made me think like she hasn't seen any of my programs or is it not clear for her or I kind of got what do you call this, anxious about the pause that I made for my business, like, oh my gosh, so people are not seeing me anymore, just those things that made me go back to the drawing board. And so I've created so many workshops and free training over the years and even coaching programs. And since I was already in the middle of deciding what to do because things are feeling stale, I went back to my programs. So that was the beginning of me looking into my offer. So when we say offer, it's your coaching program or whatever it is that you're selling to your audience, right? So I went back to it and I was able to kind of pinpoint what was really going on because I just felt like there was a hole in my heart, like something was missing. As I went through those programs, I'm like, something is lacking, something is missing. And I remember praying about it and God telling me, act like you're starting again, like you're just starting your coaching business. What would you do? How would you start it? And that wasn't easy for me. It's easier if I didn't have anything in my head yet, but there's just so many things there. So sorting it out, it wasn't easy. I mean, starting from scratch or the mindset that I was starting from scratch was not easy because there was just so many things in my head. And so I love doing diagrams and charts, and I love using my what do you call that, sketchpad for it. So I start drawing my diagrams, my charts, and tearing off the page, starting all over again, tearing off the page. I don't even remember how many pages I've torn just because it was very challenging for me to finally, be able to not only pinpoint because I was saying that I was able to pinpoint the problem that something was missing, but for me to identify what it is that was missing. So that took a while, but then I realized something in the process. Okay. So when I was going back to my programs, I realized that what was missing, okay, what was missing was a lot of things that was really me. Like, even if I thought that I have incorporated the me element into those programs, it kind of got lost in the mix, and there were just things that I wanted to do that I just felt like my coaching program was not allowing me to do. So that was the beginning. That was the beginning of going back to my offer and reassessing my brand and fine tuning it. And so that was when I started doing it for myself first. But that's the beginning of creating this free training for you on how to fine tune your offer and your brand so you can generate more clients for your coaching business. So I don't think you'll be here today if you believe that your offer or your brand is really clear. I don't think you'll be here today if you're doing very well in your coaching business. I know that you're here today because somehow, somewhere, when you saw my promotion, whether you saw it on Instagram or wherever you saw it, you started asking yourself and you started saying, yeah, I think I need clarity for my brand and my offer. And seriously, most of the time we really feel like it's clear, but the people who are going to really judge whether it's clear or not, they are our audience. So if our audience are trying to figure out what we're offering or if we're losing their interest, then it means that there is a lack of clarity with our offer and our brand. Or if just like me, you're kind of feeling stale or feel like there's something lacking and something missing, then what's going to happen too is every time you're promoting or every time you're, conducting your program, whether it's a group coaching or it's one-on-one, you're just doing it on autopilot because you're so used to it, but it's lacking that zeal and excitement for the program and even for the job, for the business, for just coaching, and I don't want to lose that, and I don't want you to lose that. So the fine tuning that you're going to learn from this free training is not just that, you know okay, what do I do with my program? What do I do with my brand? But it's really making sure that you are all over that program, you are all over that brand, and this is going to help you in the future on how to even cascade that down to your message. So everything is just integrated, like you are integrated in every aspect of your coaching business. I'm really very excited to share this with you because this is something very personal to me. And I'm like, I remember God was telling me before that every challenge I go through in my coaching business comes with a valuable resource that I can pass on to other coaches like you. So I'm excited to share with you the slides that I have prepared. So, again, this is going to help you win more clients by dialing in your offer and your brand. So, let me now explain to you what this program is about. So, this program is about assessment, okay? Because before we can even dive into implementing some things, we need to do the assessment first. So, granted that you don't have a coaching program yet, or you don't have a business yet, you're attending this training because you want to learn how to be a coachpreneur, this is still going to help you. In fact, if you do this now, then you're going to avoid the same mistakes I've made. But if you're like me and you've been in this business for a while, or maybe, because I've been a coach for over 25 years, but in the online space, I started focusing more during COVID. I kind of consider myself old and new at the same time. So if you're like me, you've been in business for a while, or even within the first 5 years, then this is really going to help you. So wherever you are in your journey as a coach, this is going to help you because sometimes even if you are already, well versed, your business is doing well, there's a point where we reach that staleness, and this is going to just kick you to the next level. So it's a lot of assessment, a lot of introspection, really going deeper into ourselves. Because as I've said, more than just dialing in the offer and the brand, it's making sure that the unique you, is integrated into every element and aspect of your program, your brand, and your business as a whole. And so there's a lot of introspection. A lot of it, I would suggest you bring it with you during your, meditation time, I love to call it my quiet moments with the Lord, because that is really the freshest, my mind can get. And then you have lots of questions to answer. Just know that if you're watching this from my website, then you can just see all the items that you can download, questionnaires, you can print it out, you can use it as a guide, it doesn't matter, but it's all there for you. And if you're watching this from YouTube, you'll also see all the links to the website and other stuff in the video description. And then this program is really about starting from the inside out. I believe really in starting from the inside out. And most of the time, what we do is we work so hard on the outside. We start a little bit from the inside and then we work so hard on the outside, system strategies, all that is external. And even the brand in itself, our concept of brand is basically logo, design, website. But that is just an aspect, a tiny little aspect of brand identity. Brand identity really comes from the inside out. And this is why there's a lot of unclear brands. It's because it's just the external aspect. The internal has not even been fully represented. So again, all these assessments will lead to that. It's really going to start from the inside out. So why is it not easy to dial in or fine tune? Exactly like what happened to me, Why did I throw so many papers, like starting something and then crampling the paper and throwing it off? Well, one is creativity hinders focus. I don't know about you, but I have a very active creative mind. And sometimes I would be coming up with another program idea when I'm not even done with the first one yet. So if you're like me, if you have all these ideas, whether it's promotion, a program, or maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that, it really hinders us from fine tuning because instead of working on what we already have, we're starting something again. And this is why when I went back when I started, doing my assessments and my introspection, this is why I'm sharing with you exactly the same things I did. I used whatever I had. So don't throw anything you have. Okay, use that to do your assessments. Later on, we have a workshop specifically using what you already have, but your creativity can hinder you from fine tuning. So instead of jumping to the next, just focus on what you have right now. Okay. God declares the end from the beginning. That's also the reason why it's not easy to fine tune because we get so excited with the result. So when we have a vision, I don't even know how many Christian women coachpreneurs I've talked to. Um, when they tell me that they really heard the Lord tell them to start a coaching business or they saw this vision, from God. And I also had the same thing. And so we get excited over the end result, thinking that it's going to happen tomorrow. And so we're all like visionaries looking at the end result. And the reason why it becomes hard to fine tune is because we want the result right away, forgetting that everything is a process, which is the last one here. It's a part of a process. I'm going to go back to that later. And then another reason why it's not easy to fine tune is sometimes we get stuck in the old school business, you know, like old school way of selling. We don't really understand the algorithm, and the old school way of selling is just a lot of it still applies to digital marketing and all those things, but sometimes we get stuck with old ways of doing things. I think I'd rather say old ways of doing things instead of old school business. So when we're stuck in old ways of doing things, it's hard for us to change and modify, and that is required to be able to fine tune and dial in, right? And then when you're gifted with many skills, oh, that can be a hindrance as well. Having many skills and many experience. And this was really my biggest hurdle because there were just so many things I can do. I wanted something new because as I've said, there was a hole, like a missing piece, a missing element. I wanted to do later on, I'm gonna share with you a lot more things about myself. But I wanted to do the things that I was so passionate about. But it's like, okay, what do I do? What should I focus on? So that can really take us away from fine tuning and dialing in because we're just jumping from one to the next, figuring out what to do. So if you're already feeling me right now, like, oh my gosh, that's like me, then I'm so happy. I'm so happy for that because what I really need is for you to be able to relate so that we can connect better. Okay, so again, let's go back to being a part of a process. Everything is a process. As I've said, God declares the end from the beginning. So when God gives a vision or you have an idea about the business, that's point A, point B. So hello, we're coaches. We're supposed to understand that, right? But I know how hard it is when it's us because we're so subjective and we're so close to the problem. So most of the time we don't see it. But when a God declares the end from the beginning, which means that the vision is point B, and then when we start, we're on point A. And so there are lots of steps that we have to go through from point A to point B. And sometimes when we just see point B, we forget that we need to fine tune everything in between for us to be able to get to point B. So that is the reason why it's not easy to dial in or fine tune when it comes to our offer and our brand. But this is what fine tuning will do. Okay. So this is now kind of like what you can expect to happen. If you follow the things, if you answer the questions rightly, if you do your assessments, your content creation will come naturally. Okay. So once you've fine tuned your offer and your brand, content creation will come naturally because now you're very focused, you're targeted, you're dialed in. And this is what I discovered, you know, when I had so many things going on in my head and, it was not dialed in because of those so many ideas, I'm also at a loss for, okay, what am I going to use for content next week? What am I going to use for my content on my email marketing? What am I going to use for my content on Instagram? Or what am I going to use on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday? Sometimes it kind of, even if you have your content planning, and sometimes you just get lost. And there are just times, especially, I really find reels, up to this day of doing this video, reels are still the most effective um, type of content for me on Instagram. And I can just do it very spontaneously. And the reason why I can do it very spontaneously is because I'm very targeted with my offer and my brand finally. So it will really help you come, it will help you create content naturally. Your message will be very clear because now that your offer is clear, your brand is clear, everything is clear in your head, your message will also be naturally clear. And then your people will be drawn to you. So this is part of what you learn from this free training. It's really identifying who these people are. And once you know who these people really are, and you'll be surprised that a lot of the things you've learned about creating your ideal client avatar or profile is missing an element that you learn from this free training. Well, once you learn that, and once you have a more targeted message, then they will naturally be drawn to you. You don't even have to look for them. And then you'll find peace and ease because instead of your mind racing all over, you'll finally have a very fine tuned offer and brand. And then, of course, with peace and ease, things are going to flow smoothly and consistently for you. Okay, isn't that exciting? So, this is what I want you to do now, the same thing that God told me. And I know that this can be quite challenging for some of you, but I want us first to start on a blank page. Okay? So, let's just pretend that if you already have your coaching program, you already have your business going on, let's pretend that we are starting from scratch. So, as for now, just set aside what you have in answering all the questions that I'm going to ask you. But later on, we're going to go back to what you already have. Sounds good? Okay. So let's start from the very beginning. Okay. Let's start from the very beginning, your childhood. So every person on this planet started pure, innocent, unblemished, uncontaminated. And this is why this is the best place for us to begin. This is the you that God created. Everything about you can be traced back to your childhood before there was any contamination. Before, I don't want to, bring out some of the things that you probably have already forgotten about, but I know that there's a lot of abuse that happened in childhood. So I'm talking about as far back as before all those things happened, because that is the true version of you. And who is that person? Who is that person? And what were that person's dream? What was what was that child's dream? What did that child, or who did that child want to become? And what was that child's character? So this is what we're going to dive into. So along the way, so this is now the process that all of us have been through. Along the way, you acquired certain beliefs, make through peer influence or, other people around you. And parents who have raised you, probably they've set expectations, on you, what they've wanted you to become instead of who God wanted you to become. So we have to be also careful when it comes to our children because sometimes we are imposing on them who we think they should be instead of who did God really create them to be. But let's not talk about your children for now. We're going to talk about you. So, and despite the influence, you still had your distinct character. Maybe it was your laughter. Maybe it was the way you made people feel good about themselves. There was a distinct character about you. And, and you may have developed certain personalities also that kind of smeared or added layers to who you really were created to be. So along the way, so you still were able to retain a lot of those distinct characteristics and acquired other characteristics and perhaps, well, not perhaps because all of us have gotten hurt, gotten betrayed, or maybe we started losing trust on other people. And so we developed certain personalities as a result of coping. So, what we call coping mechanisms. And so, whatever it was, it still affected your personality, your character. So I want you to just remember everything that I'm telling you, all these slides and everything I'm explaining to you, because we're all going to use that to connect the pieces of the puzzle. So you had your childhood dreams, okay? Because I was asking earlier, what was that child's dream? So you had your childhood dreams, whether it was to be a dancer, a painter, a pilot, a doctor, whatever it was that you wanted to become. And then you may have, gotten married and had children, and you had to set aside, your dreams. And you may have even forgotten about those dreams. It's like, you just got busy with responsibilities that you've never really thought about them. Well, the amazing thing, though, the amazing thing about ourselves is, as I've said earlier, even when we're growing up, there are distinct character traits that are still there. Some of it may be covered with layers of defense and coping mechanisms that kind of form part of our character as well, or conceal the very character that we have. But then there are character traits that really remain distinct and uncontaminated. Amazing. It's amazing like how we retain certain things. And even those things that have been covered by layers, we can still remove those layers for the real us to come out. And so those parts of us that have been buried are still there. They're still there. And it's just a matter of taking off those layers. But the distinct characters that have not been buried or have been covered by layers, oh my gosh, those are gems that we can really utilize for our offer and our brand, and you'll be understanding it more later. But for now, I have some questions for you. Okay, so this is now our introspection break. So I want you to ask yourselves, or yourself, because I know I'm talking to a lot of people, but I'm talking to you personally right now. I wanted to ask yourself these questions. But I suggest you bring this because this is kind of like the deepest part of this free training, because this is really going back to your childhood. And then I don't want you to do it right now while I'm talking because it's not going to work. So either you pause this video and come back to me, or you do this after watching this entire training. So if you want to pause right now after I explain to you what you're going to do, so don't pause right now. I'll tell you when to pause if you want to pause. But what I wanted to do is bring this before God, or whatever moment you have by yourself. I want you, but the best, there's no better place than being in the presence of God. So if you're a Christian like me, you understand what that is. And if you're not a Christian, if you have another belief, I know that you still believe in God. And so you know that outside of God, there is no better place. And so I want you to bring this before God or during your quiet moments to answer these questions. And I want you to also to take note of memories that may come back. So just write down whatever memories may come back that affect you in the wrong way. Write it down, including how you felt, because that is very necessary for the next steps. So try to recall as far back as you could, okay? So the first question is, what were your childhood dreams and what did you want to become? Okay, so remember as far back as you can. And then what was it about the dream? Why did you want to become that person or creature? Because I had a participant in one of my coaching group coaching programs. She said she wanted to be a mermaid, and this really helped her understand. Okay, so it's not just about the dream, but why did you want to become that person? I wanted to be I wanted when I was a child, I wanted to be a robot. Well, you can't really be a robot, but why did you want to become that person or creature or object? And then the next question is, what was your childhood personality? Okay, especially the distinct one, the one that never went away. And what skills did you already have as a child? Okay, maybe you were already good with, art, or maybe you just really love drawing and you were really good at it. Maybe as a child you already love writing. Whatever it is, try to go back as far as you can remember. And I don't want you to be asking your mom, or whoever, your siblings. For now, let this be between you and God, because I want you to be able to do that self introspection. Okay. So remember, you have your worksheets that you can print out and use, or you can use as a guide. Just check them out. Okay. So if you're thinking of pausing, now is the time to do it. Okay. So if you paused, then you're now coming back to me. But if you didn't pause and you're still watching, then it doesn't make any difference. So this childhood is the foundation. You want to make sure that whatever else you'll discover along the way, along the way of you answering my questions, that everything is connected to that child. So if you didn't pause, then you might as well not pause at all, because you won't be able to answer the next questions effectively without doing this first one. Okay, that first one is the very foundation. This is why I'm saying that all your answers should always be connected to that child, whatever answers you have. Okay, so just don't remember, just don't forget that. Okay, so that childhood is the blueprint right there. That is the blueprint. And this is why everything else has to be connected to that child. So here are the next questions. Okay. So I'll explain. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna lead you from one question to the next. And if you want to answer those questions right away, then pause after every question. But I'm not gonna give you any explanation anymore, because I'm gonna do that after asking you all these questions. So the next set of questions is, what are you passionate about? So these are the guide questions so that you can answer this better. What makes you feel so alive? What excites you? What's one topic that comes out of your mouth so naturally? So let me give you my own answers to these questions to kind of give you an idea of what is needed or what I'm looking for, so that you can, fine tune your brand and offer more effectively, and so that you can also get to know me better. So hitting two birds with one stone. So what makes me feel so alive, really, is creating names and projects. So you gotta also look at this from the point of view of your coaching business, not just, oh, I just love traveling. But if your business is related to that, then that's fine. But what makes me feel so alive and what excites me really is creating names and projects. I just love, even I don't know, as far as I can remember, I just really love creating names and projects and programs and designs. And again, if I were to go back to my childhood, one of my one of my childhood dreams was to be a stage actress. And I also remember in elementary, um, one of the things that I love doing back in elementary, we had this Friday creativity day. Oh my gosh, that was like my favorite. So every Friday, you can do either a solo performance or something you'll do with your other classmates. And oh my goodness, I was the director. I was the one thinking of the script and directing everybody. Like I would always come up with a musical play, so it's always been in me, so these are the things that make me really alive and excited when I'm creating something. And dressing up too. I love dressing up, by the way. I love shopping for clothes, and I love recycling my clothes. I love putting things together. They don't have to be expensive. I just love recreating, reinventing, and coming up with new ways to use even my old clothes. I've always been like that. And actually, I'm going to share with you just a short story that speaks about that character of mine. Many, many years ago, I was invited by a client to attend an award ceremony. Okay, so it was like a really big event. And I didn't really have anything to wear. At that time, I barely had money to, buy new clothes. And so I actually had this really nice blouse that's kind of like a, off shoulders, but it's kind of crisscrossing. And then I had also an old kind of like jumper type of a skirt. It had like some straps here. So what I did was I removed the straps, and so it was just a skirt, and it had like a band, like an elastic band. So it was all black. And then I also had some bling blings, like some belt that was like gold, and it had like gold coins, and I used it. And so, anyways, nobody knew, of course, that my outfit was just put together. I just got it from my closet, and actually both of them were given to me. I think only the belt, but it was old, was something I purchased. But then, anyways, guess what? I won the best dressed award that evening. I didn't even know there was like an award for best dress. I won the best dressed award. It was a cash prize. Oh my gosh, that's like one of my most unforgettable experience. But that just explains to you how I love dressing up and what I mean when I say dressing up. Okay, I love being in a room with people who are hungry to learn. So this actually, well, I told you I was going to explain everything later, but just for me not to lose my thought, this is actually one of the reasons that made me modify my program. This is one of the reasons that made me fine tune my offer and my brand, which actually includes, I'll explain more about this later. It actually also includes the intervention and, just your coaching model. This also includes all of that, because your offer is not just the design of your program, it's also how you market it, it's also your coaching model, it's also your interventions, like workshops that you use. So when I started doing this, like what really excites me, I realized that, wait, I really love being with people. I want a classroom training. I want something where that will allow me to be around people. And then I love brainstorming. I love coming up with a solution. And guess what? The topic that comes out of my mouth so naturally, two topics: resolving inner issues and uniqueness. Yep. And so this is why you'll see this over and over again here, because this is something that I was reminded of. All right. So this is again what I wanted to do. Just answer these questions. And if you want to pause this video, now is the best time to pause it. So the next set of questions, well, actually, this is just one question, is what advice or topic do you find yourself often giving people who come to you? Okay, so answer that. You don't have to pause for a long time to answer that. So actually, my answer is the same as what naturally comes out of me, resolving inner issues, uniqueness. So it's like whatever problems people come to me for, I would always come up with solutions or answers that are related to resolving inner issues and uniqueness. Okay, so there's kind of like a pattern. There's a pattern you'll establish by just answering these questions. Okay, so if you want to pause again, you can do that right now. So the next question is, what do you love about your coaching business? Now, if you have a coaching program or you're coaching others, what part do you love the most about it? Again, this is the best time to pause. So this is another question. The good things people say about you. So what good things do people say about you as a coach and professional? So write it all down. Whether it's your trustworthiness or whatever it is, just write it all down. And then the next question is, what are your top three skills that you love doing? Because we can have a variety of skills, but what do you love doing? You know, I have other skills that I'm skilled I'm skilled in, but I don't really love doing them. So let's focus on the top three skills that you love doing. The next one is, what projects do you enjoy? Okay, what are your top three work experiences or projects that you really enjoyed? Okay, I want to share something with you again. I loved those conferences that I have put together in the past. You know, I had conferences for my business back in the days, and I also had conferences for the women's ministry that I headed. And I just love the putting them together. So this is still kind of lining up with, me just creating and, this creating projects and related to my dream of being a stage actress. It's crazy. It's how all these things are tying up together. I used to do classroom training in person with organizations, corporations, big corporations, top Fortune 500 companies. And I just enjoy that season in my profession. I did it for a long time before I got married. And asking the questions and the ability to remember them, that's one of the skills I have. And I just love that, like being around people and they're asking me questions, and then I go to the next person and that person's going to ask me a question, and then I go back to the person who first asked me a question, and I would remember, and they used to tell me, oh my gosh, you remember everything. So I definitely enjoy that, facilitating. See, these are things we don't really ask ourselves when we're creating our coaching program, right? Or we're creating our brand. We don't ask ourselves these questions, but all these things are like really who we are, you know? I'm really getting excited as I'm sharing this with you. So the next question is, who do you love to work with? Oh my gosh, I have to bite my tongue in giving an explanation because I'm going to explain each of these questions and, why I ask you these questions. So who you love to work with. So who do you love to work with? So think of clients who've had great results with you and look at their characteristics. So you don't have to write down, well, you can write down who they are just for you to remember, but only those that have had great results with you. If you don't have that yet, then probably think of other things, similar things you've done in the past, whether you've helped a person for free, and just look at their characteristics. So I want you to be able to write down those characteristics. If you haven't paused this video and you're just like continuing, then that's all fine. But if you have paused this video, then this next one, you would be needing all your answers. Okay, you would be needing all your answers because now we're going to do a comparison. We're going to use your answers and the same questions and look at your answers and look at what you have. So this is really how we're going to define first define your offer and your brand before we can even fine tune. Now it's time to compare your answers to what you already have. So we are going to go back to the same questions, but this time comparing it with your offer and your brand. Again, if you don't have anything yet, this is something you can do. It will shortcut your process in building a successful coaching business. So your passion should be the focus of your offer. Okay. So now is the time for you to compare these questions, your answers to these questions with what you currently have as your offer. So these are the questions. Does my offer greatly utilize what I'm truly passionate about? Does my brand name and my offer name and tagline, if you have a tagline, represent this, represent what you're passionate about? So your brand name is the name of your business, or if you have a name for your, I'm not talking about your offer, the name of my offers. So I have different coaching programs. Okay. But one of my coaching programs is Build and Convert Your Audience, and that's BCA. Okay. So that's my offer name. For my brand name, I use Lisa Mackey Consulting, or on social media, on Instagram, it's Coach Lisa Mackey. So that's my brand name. So does my brand name and offer name and tagline, okay, represent what I say I'm passionate about? And does my offer greatly utilize, this is really important here, does it greatly utilize what you're passionate about? Okay, so I'm going to share with you a story to make this, more clear. The BCA program, it's a really, really good program. You know, it has a little bit of what I'm sharing with you here, specifically the childhood aspect, a little bit of it. And it's a really good coaching program that's been very successful for my participants in the group coaching. So it was a group coaching that I shifted to a digital course. And though it was really, really good, it was kind of technical, more technical in nature. And I realized that the missing element is really what I'm passionate about, what I find myself always talking about, the uniqueness, the resolving inner issues, and my passion of creating something, of creating names and coming up with, ideas. So that was the missing element. And when I wrote all of that down and compared it to BCA as the program, then I was able to pinpoint, more specifically, what is lacking in my program and the reason why I have this. Okay, the reason why I even have this is because I started asking myself the very questions that I'm asking you. Okay, so again, if you want to pause, this is the best time to do it. So let's go to the next one, the advice you give people. Okay, again, you're going to compare your answers from the previous questions to this one. So the advice you give people, like with me, as I've said, it's always resolving issues, uniqueness. This should be the main content of your offer. Seriously, this has to be included in your offer if it's not included yet. And this is what your coaching should be focused on. And so ask yourself these questions. Is my current offer pointing to this? Does my current offer focus on this specific area? Does my tagline reflect this? Does my messaging reflect this? Well, guess what? When I was answering all these things, it was not reflecting that. Okay. But it definitely helped me fine tune. That's why I said this is about assessment, introspection, questions. Again, you can pause this or continue, but let's proceed to the next one. So, this is the question on what do you love about your coaching business, right? So again, go back to those answers and then compare it with what you have. So this is now my question. Does my coaching program, go back to your coaching program, include the aspects I love about coaching? Do I coach others in the same things? Does my coaching model, this is what I was saying earlier about the coaching model, does my coaching model allow me to do the things I love to do the most? Okay. So what do you love about your coaching business? As I've said, I love the facilitation aspect of the business. I love the brainstorming part of the business, which is why I've incorporated those things, in fine tuning my offer. I've incorporated those things into my coaching model. And I've incorporated the things I love about coaching, which is what I'm passing on to you now. I love asking questions, you know, I love assessments, and this is what I'm also passing on to you. So it's kind of included already not only in my program, but even in this free training because I'm passing it on to you. Okay. Now, after you've paused, we can proceed to the next. But if you don't want to pause, that's fine. So let's go back to the good things people say about you. You probably have a long list. So the good things people say about you should reflect, okay, should reflect on your brand and offer. If they tell you that you're a trustworthy person, then that should reflect on the brand that you have. When they see it, they know. And your brand is more than just what people see, but it's how you project yourself. So is your brand and offer reflecting the good things people say about you? Does your content and messaging reflect the good things people say about you? Does your image project and reflect the good things people say about you? I don't think I've shared with you what I've heard from other people, right? So what you can do actually is ask the people who know you. I mean, not really your family members, but it can be your friends. You can ask them what attracted them to you, what made them like you. And if you can ask clients, that would be the best because they're the same people that you are reaching out to. But if you don't have that, then at least the, you know, the characteristics that your clients and your friends have. What I'm saying is if you don't have those clients to ask, if you have a list of characteristics of the people you love to work with, remember, you have that, then look for friends who have those characteristics and ask them what attracted them to you. What do they love about you? And that will really help you create that inventory. But for me, over the years, these are the good things that people have said about me: integrity, stability, professionalism, trustworthiness. And recently, somebody said that I look like I was forged, my character was forged by actual experiences. So that kind of was that missing element, like I wanted to include more of that resolving issues aspect because that's really how I became the person I am today. A lot of resolving inner issues because of the many things that I've been through. Everything I've shared with you earlier about the childhood and, getting hurt and the coping mechanism, that's me too. All right. So the next is the top three skills, right? That you love doing. So your skills and what you love to do. Do I greatly utilize my top three skills in my coaching business? Do I focus on these top skills as part of growing my business? So this is already the marketing aspect. Okay, so my top three skills that I love doing is creative writing, organizing thoughts, like compartmentalizing my thoughts. I love doing that. Like I have this idea, I put it in this drawer, and then I have this, I put it in this drawer. And that's why I love diagrams and charts. And then problem solving with brainstorming. So those are my three skills that I love doing. And so the question is, do I greatly utilize my top three skills in my coaching business? Yes, I'm doing a lot of creative writing. I'm doing a lot of organizing thoughts, but the problem solving with brainstorming, that was something I just recently incorporated as part of my business. I do consulting work. Okay, so ask yourself those questions and compare your answers from the previous one to what you have. Okay. And then next, the projects you enjoy. Sorry. The top three work experiences or projects that you really enjoyed. Okay. Before I ask you these questions, let me explain something. We kind of do get stuck and kind of limited with what other coaches are doing. We see coaches do these things or they do videos, they do reels, they do webinars. So we also get stuck in what other people do. So that was the case with me. And that was the reason why I was getting bored because I was not really utilizing who I am. I was just stuck in the way other coaches do things. So when you find yourself bored with what you should be enjoying. I told you I wanted to enjoy coaching. I wanted to enjoy doing it. Don't lose the passion for it. So this is the best time when you're feeling stale, when you're feeling bored. This is the best time to go back to the projects that you enjoy. Are my coaching programs and projects highly enjoyable for me? How do they compare with the previous projects and experiences in the past that I truly enjoyed? So those projects from the past will help you, fine tune, not only fine tune actually, but refresh your coaching program, your model, your interventions, and even your entire coaching business and your marketing approach as well. Wow, we're on the last set of questions. So this is now the work, okay? Who you love to work with, okay? Have I ever worked with someone I really love to work with? What made me love working with him or her? And are these the people I'm currently attracting? Okay. Now let me explain something to you. I've been taught to define my target niche. Okay. And, but I was like, I kept reaching a dead end. I kept reaching a dead end. I couldn't really pinpoint. Like there were just so many characteristics and I didn't know where to find them. They were just like all over the place. Well, one thing I didn't know, and one thing that nobody taught me, I'm teaching you today, is that your ideal client, your target niche is someone like you. That person is someone like you. The people who are attracted to us because we share something in common. So instead of just writing down the characteristics of who you think your ideal client is because they're the ones your coaching program is going to help, or they're the people who are going to benefit from your coaching program, why not think of yourself, your characteristics as well? Okay, the good things people say about you and your character traits. You did all those exercises and look again at that list so that you'll also see who your target niche is. Okay. And when you have the target niche that is perfectly aligned with who you are, then you're going to be attracting the right people as well. And that's going to happen naturally. Okay, that was one of the things that I explained earlier when you have fine tuned your offer and your brand. And these questions, like how have I ever worked with someone I really love to work with? These are all going to help you because the person that you really love to work with, you'll be surprised. They also share the same characteristic as you do. So go back to your list and see if you're going to say, yeah, this is me too. Okay. And then what made you love working with a person? And are these the people you're currently attracting? Well, I had a client, and she's really she had almost all the characteristics that I had listed back then when I was identifying my ideal client profile, or I was making an inventory of that. But for some reason, there was just something that was not clicking, with us. And I realized later on that I never ever consider the people I love working with. I just consider the people who would benefit from my coaching program. And so when I went back to her characteristics at what went wrong with her and me, because she jumped out of the program before we could even finish it, and I couldn't wait. I was actually so glad that she jumped out of the program. And it was for financial reasons, she said, but I was just so glad. And that's not good. When you can't wait to be over with your client, that's not good. But that's when I started really thinking, okay, who are the people I really love to work with? Because you're going to be able to attract the right people by knowing first who you love to work with. And then eventually, as your offer and your brand gets more fine tuned, I told you everything else will follow. Your messaging would be clear, and you'll be talking to that specific person, and therefore you're going to attract that person. Wow. I can't believe we're almost done. So we've pretty much covered a lot today, right? And I really want to give you time to process because for those of you who were able to pause for every question, then you probably already have a list of answers and you're probably comparing, you've compared your what you have with your answers from the previous questions. But I still want you to be able to have more time to process it before adding more to you. And so I know this is too much to digest. Assessments can't really be done in just 1 hour if you want good results. And really, this webinar is meant for you to assess your offer. I made it clear from the beginning. It's meant for you to assess your offer and your brand in relation to who you really are. Again, it has to come from the inside out and then compare that with what you have. So this is really the main purpose of this free training. And all these are meant to activate your mind, for you to start thinking, for you to start assessing, because that's what you're good at, coach. We are good in assessing, we are good in identifying problems. That's why we're in this business. I told you I love brainstorming and how I wish we can just brainstorm. We're like out of town. That is like my ideal scenario. We're all out of town and we're just brainstorming together, like 3 days probably. But what we have right now is actually one and a half. I don't know how long we've been going on. What we have right now is 1.5 to 2 hours. And normally for free trainings, I really just advise a maximum of 1 hour, 30 minutes. And so we can't really dial in your brand and offer in 1.5 hours. Even if we do it for 2 hours, will not be able to do that with the kind of assessment that I want you to do so you can really fine tune and dial in your brand and your offer. The exercises themselves require a lot of stepping back and thinking and going back again and comparing. And so those exercises will really help you assess. Okay, assess and pinpoint what needs alignment. Oh, I just love that. Assessing and pinpointing. So the alignment and integration aspects and all the other how-tos will definitely require more time. It will definitely require more time, but let me tell you something. Do you know how long it took me to go through this process? Answer all those questions. I mean, just coming up with those questions to ask myself, it probably took me 6 months, not to mention the 2 to 3 years of mistakes and going back and forth that I've done over the years since I started my online coaching business. So that's probably 2 to 3 years put all together. My goodness, that's a long time. So I can't really cram that in, 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay. But it won't take you that long though. Even if you go through the alignment, aligning it and the implementation and the how to do it, it won't take you 3 years to do that because I've already gone through with it for you. And I have simplified everything and condensed everything, and still it has the most substantial content I can ever put together for you. I've created something for you actually. Surprise! So, what I've created for you is a program that will take you probably approximately 15 hours to complete everything. And so, if you do a once a day, 1 hour a day for 5 days a week, you'll finish it in less than a month. See, that's quick compared to 2.5 years to 3 years that I've been through, right? So, isn't that cool? But guess what? What I've created for you is more than just the fine tuning of your brand and your offer. It's more than just implementing those things, but it also includes the marketing aspect. Includes the marketing aspect, which becomes easier once you have your brand and your offer fine tuned. This was actually the mistake I made when I fine tuned my systems and strategies that I'm teaching in my BCA. I fine tuned those systems and strategies, but I didn't really fine tune my offer and my message and my brand. And that's when I went back. I shared the story with you earlier. That's when I went back to my offer and realized that the brand identity is actually the main foundation of all other foundations. Let me say that again. The brand identity is the foundation, main foundation of all the other foundations. That's my biggest realization when I went back to fine tune my offer and my brand. So, this is what said in the beginning, at the beginning of this training. I said all of us really want more clients for our business. We want more clients, more business, and we also want less effort, less time. When I started the coaching business, I really wanted everything to be easy and everything to just, for me to have a better, greater work life balance. And we're all desiring that, but it takes time to get there. I didn't know that. Again, that's really not understanding the process when I started. But this is really where all of us, this is all our objective. This is our goal for all of us. And so, one problem or hindrance to getting there is lead generation. Okay, either we have the wrong people getting attracted or not enough people that we're attracting. So that's really one hurdle and one problem that this program intends to address and solve. But I'm going to show you first the problems and the hindrances to having more clients, more business, and doing, less things for more. And then, of course, another problem is low conversion. Sometimes you have many people following you, liking your posts, and even cheering you on, but they're not converting to paying clients. And then, of course, sometimes we just get so busy with other things that we don't have time. And people tell you, oh, you got to post on social media every single day. The experts say that. And one expert even say that you have to post 5 times a day on social. I'm like, I can't do that. I have already so many things on my plate. So these are the problems that we have. In as much as we want less effort and less time, we barely have time. And we got to build what we need to build to be able to achieve all these objectives. So these are the main problems. I'm explaining this to you because this is what the program is going to address and what it is about. So the answer to lead generation is to attract the right people naturally. And it also addresses the problem of not having time and the problem of exerting less effort. We want to attract the right people naturally, right people naturally. And then for low conversion, of course, the opposite is to have a high conversion. That is our objective for that specific problem, is to have a high conversion. And then because we don't have much time or we don't want to spend so much time, then the answer to that is to streamline. So all these things that you see highlighted in blue are the problems or the hindrances to having more clients, more business with less effort and less time. And the solution to that are the ones in yellow: attracting the right people naturally, high conversion, and streamlined. And this program that I've designed for you, I've created for you, will address all these problems and will achieve all these solutions. And you may ask me how, Lisa, and I'm going to present it to you. So this attracting the right people naturally is what the brand identity is for. And this is why I said it's the main foundation of all foundations. So we have these three foundations, and the main foundation is the brand identity. So the brand identity is meant to attract the right people naturally. So you are generating the right people. You are, well, we're going to talk about conversion later, but this is just the first phase. You want to attract the right people. So this is the main foundation, the brand identity. And so your brand identity has three elements to it: your purpose, and many of those questions I asked you earlier and you answered, they are all pointing to your purpose. And so this program will explain further what those answers are for, and it will help you connect the dots to create a clearer purpose for you. And then that purpose translates to your message, your tagline, your vision mission. And your vision mission actually is what will convert your tagline and what will become your foundational message. So everything you did here you're going to bring to the program, and everything will make more sense as you connect every piece of the puzzle and start implementing. And then the image is part of the brand identity. So this program is meant to create a solid, fine-tuned, dialed-in brand identity that covers the purpose, that turns into your message, and then turns into the image that you're projecting to your audience. And then let's go to the next one, the high conversion. So these are your systems. To be able to convert, you need the right systems in place. Okay, so what are these systems? The attention, the trust, and the sales. And you'll learn about this in that program. So this is what I teach in the BCA. But there was a missing element, and this is the brand identity. And this program is even a modified and more streamlined version of the BCA. So attention, trust, sales, I'll be talking more about that in the program, but just to let you know that the conversion is going to happen with the systems, but without the brand identity that's fine-tuned and dialed in, the systems are not going to work effectively, or you'll be attracting the wrong people. So the conversion is not really high and it's not consistent. We want consistency. And then for addressing this problem, or how do we now streamline, it's about the strategies. So your strategies will depend on the systems that you create. And again, the strategies also will be based on your system. So there's a strategy for your attention system, there's a strategy for your trust system, and there's a strategy for your sales system. Okay, so it's really hard to explain everything here, but just to give you an idea of the extent of content and learning and everything valuable thing that you learn from the program that I've created for you. This is the purpose of that diagram. Now, I know you're curious how much this would cost you, but let me tell you something first. Okay, just the systems and strategies alone. So my BCA coaching program, before I converted it to a digital course. So the BCA program initially had coaching support. So that one alone was $600. And that was a group coaching program, which was why it was cheaper. Okay, because we all know that group coaching program fees are cheaper than one-on-one. And the brand identity portion, so I have done one-on-one sessions for this brand identity. I haven't done it in a group coaching model. And for just my one-on-one sessions on brand identity, it ranges from 5,000 to 7,000 just for brand identity alone for my clients, my one-on-one clients. So even if I do it, offer it as just this one alone for a group coaching program, it would probably cost around 1,500 to 2,000, okay, per person to be able to join the coaching program. But the good news is you will only be paying, guess what?
It's just $299.99 for the entire training program. You can't beat that price.
You'll have all these problems addressed. You'll be able to attract people naturally through your brand identity that's dialed in, fine tuned. You'll be able to have high conversion through your systems that are firmly established and consistently running because of a fine tuned brand identity. And then you'll have strategies in place that will streamline your efforts. So, honestly, when I did the BCA coaching, it wasn't streamlined. It wasn't as streamlined as it is today because I've learned from it. So you're really going to benefit a lot from this streamlined strategies that you learn from this program. So you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. And I'm very aware that a lot of you have already exhausted, your finances and trying to grow your business. And so I just really want to make it affordable for everyone. All right? So if you're watching this from my website, just click the link below. So thank you so much for joining me in this free training. I really want to see you in build a brand that sells because I want to see you take your coaching business to the next level. Nothing is more fulfilling for me in this profession than seeing that happen. and being a part of your journey. Again, thank you so much.